Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
This is Flerick.
And this is Mac.
And this is, I guess, technically our Midway episode.
Technically.
Yes, for the Nagoya Basho. This is going to contain spoilers for day 9 of the tournament. A little bit later than usual, but there are some special circumstances surrounding this episad, Jake.
That's right. We are in Japan right now still.
On location.
On location. So we have a strange and rather MacGyvered recording setup that we're working with, so it's not quite as easy as back home.
Yeah, yesterday we were in Nagoya. Today we are in Kyoto in our Airbnb, and we have the other half of our traveling party with us, which you will probably hear a little bit in the background, but we're working with what we got, so hopefully it's not too distracting for everybody listening out there.
Yeah, so our recording, our mobile recording setup, we only have 2 mics, so we'll only have 2 of us talking at a time, other than that hopefully well-edited intro that we just did.
It's going to be garbage, but you know what? Par for the course on this podcast.
Right, exactly. So I'm going to be mostly in the background and letting the other 3 guys talk, and then I am going to masterfully edit everything and fix it all in post.
Yep, and we will have special guests, each of our significant others, including Flerick, has a special significant other on this episode, as his brother will be joining us for a little bit on this. So I think most of this episode we're going to be talking about kind of our experiences with sumo since we've been in Japan. We've visited a couple of different places. Obviously, we saw all of day 8 live in person in Nagoya. But first, we are going to talk a little bit about what's actually happening in Nagoya for this tournament. We're not going to spend as much time on that as usual, as we kind of want to have this episode focus on just our experiences here in Japan.
Because clearly that's what's most important here.
Yeah, it's what the people want to know. All right, Flerick, so why don't you tell everybody what the Yusho race is looking like?
So the Yusho race right now, we have Kakuryu at the top with 9-0. This is spoilers to day 9, by the way.
Yes.
We have Hakuho, who is 8-1 at the time. He lost to Ichinojo today.
Very dominating win for Ichinojo as well.
I knew it was going to be a good match going into it, but it definitely delivered. I was kind of talking to you earlier today as we were watching live. We'll get more into the specifics, but I think Ichinojo is one of the only people who can go into a match saying, like, I'm actually going to out-dominate. I have the body to just out-muscle Hakuho. So if I just get a good grip on this, I'm just going to push him out.
Yeah, Hakuho could never get his grip on Ichinojo's Mawashi, and Ichinojo put a lot of effort into making that happen. He kind of got his grip in there first and pinned Hakuho's arms, and I wonder if Ichinojo, being as big as he is, and Hakuho's bicep maybe not being at 100%, because
it's possible.
Hakuho was undefeated going into today, but it didn't look like regular, usual Hakuho.
Yeah, he kind of got himself trapped, it kind of looked like, which is a little iffy.
I wonder if that bicep played a little bit into it with... Maybe it's not at full strength to throw around somebody like Ichinojo, but yeah, we'll see. And then we also have 4 guys at 7-2. This is going to be off the top of my head, so we'll see if we get this right. We have Terutsuyoshi at 7-2, Takayasu at 7-2, Tomokaze at 7-2, and Myogiryu at 7-2, I believe.
All right. I am terrible with records, so I'm just going to assume you're correct.
Jake gave me the thumbs up. So that is what the Yusho race looks like. It really looks like it's going to come down to the 2 Yokozuna at the final part of this tournament. So if everything stands as is, we could have a very interesting day 15 between Kakuryu and Hakuho.
Yeah, it definitely is looking the case. I think the Jun Yusho is going to be probably a very interesting race for the number of people who are actually in it. Especially Tomokaze kind of steps out for me.
Yeah.
He's a guy who's been kind of working up, and he's never had like a Makekoshi yet, I believe, in his entire career. And like, he's still doing that, even though he keeps moving up higher on the Bansuke. And right now, he's in the Jun Yusho race, and technically the Yusho race.
Yeah.
If things kind of get really bad for Kakuryu and Hakuho.
Yeah, I think that guy, out of everybody, we'll talk about the reasons why we don't think Takayasu will necessarily be the guy to be in that Jun Yusho race. But with how young he is, his body type, I think he's got a lot of potential for future. but I think this time he's definitely one of the top contenders for the Yusho race.
Yeah, I would say this is a very exciting Yusho race because there's multiple people, and the Yokozuna are looking pretty good. Like Hakuho, he kind of got himself trapped, and I guess like some of his other matches looked a little shaky.
Yeah,
but then he always you can never count Hakuho out.
Yeah,
even if he looks a little bit shaky, he would just kind of effortlessly put away his opponent and just go ahead and win.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be very interesting to see how Kakuryu Hakuho do against pretty much a limited competition group. So we'll have Mac in on this competition as we talk about how the Ozekis are doing in this Basho.
Well, what can you say about the Ozekis for this Basho?
Well, I think not too much because we came into this Basho with 4 Ozeki, but now we're only down to 2.
What, 2?
Only down to 1.
There we
now.
go. I'm like, who's the one that's sneaking in there?
The Goedo one is still very new for me, and so I'm kind of very sad that he didn't show up. He was a little bit. We'll get more into that a little bit later, but let's kind of start with the number of Ozeki we have right now. We came in with 4, but we found out right away that Takakeisho ended up pulling out because of his health wasn't exactly where it's supposed to be.
And in our preview episode, I had said he's not going to have a choice. He's going to be, this is Kataban for him. He has to perform. Well, technically, it wasn't up to him. It was up to his Oyakata. So he may not have had a choice, but his Oyakata did. So I'm glad he pulled him out. And Jake alluded to this in our preview episode that he's young. This is not the last time we will see him at the Ozeki level. It's just a minor bump in the road on his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully he's going to come back. He does have the one chance he's going to be officially Sekiwaki going into Aki. And he will, some people call it the Ozeki Waki because he does have one chance if he gets a double-digit win to get promoted back to Ozeki. So that will be kind of interesting to go. To kind of wrap up on more on the Tochinoshin Kyujo, I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to Jake.
Right you are, Flerick. Tochinoshin's Kyujo. Next on the docket. Tochinoshin stuck around for a little while. But yeah, he's clearly not feeling it.
His quality just didn't look good at all. I mean, you could tell he was in pain. He was trying, but the man was just hurting.
It wasn't matches where like he was, in it the whole time and then like lost by something that, went wrong at the last second. Most of those looked fairly uncompetitive, especially for an Ozeki.
Hopefully he can avoid a Ozeki Wake situation again, as he will be Katoban in the next tournament.
Yeah, he's got knee injuries, shoulder injuries, emotional injuries. But yeah, he's kind of a wreck at the moment, and it would really suck to have him go all the way up to Ozeki again. Regain it in such dramatic fashion just to lose it right away. But I don't know. It'll be hard to break Takakeisho's record for how quickly he loses his Ozeki rank. He is truly a broken man.
But as painful as that is, there is also another who is going to be Katoban in the next tournament, and I'm going to hand the mic off to Ryan to talk a little bit more about Goedo.
The absolute coward. As I drop my phone on the floor. That's how angry I am at Goedo.
I hope we picked that up on the mics. It was very dramatic.
Yes.
So we, as we mentioned, we attended day 8. And day 8, just by pure coincidence,
we put it out on Twitter. Everybody knew when we were going to be in Nagoya.
Including Goedo.
He goes out there and is like, I'm going to do like a middling performance in here just to make it seem like I'm injured. So when I pull out later in the tournament at day 8 so I don't have to face the wrath of Ryan and all of his judgmental stares and screams that are going to be coming my way, it won't make people too surprised that I go Kyujo at this time. It was all a huge plan by Goedo just to avoid any confrontation with me, and frankly, this makes me need to book a return trip to Japan immediately to force a confrontation with that coward Goedo.
Next time it looks like he's in the Yusho race, you need to show up.
Yeah, exactly. He'll run.
Exactly. But yeah, in all seriousness, it was a good plan for him to chicken out here because he had gone only 3-5. He had given up some losses that he really shouldn't have. And luckily, he had a winning record in the previous tournament, so he is going to be in danger of demotion in September, but he still has this tournament that he doesn't have to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, so far we're looking at 1 Ozeki demotion and 2 Ozeki that will be Kadoban. So let's get Flarik back on the mic, and we'll talk a little bit more about Takayasu, as we mentioned before.
Are you talking about that coward Takayasu?
Not a coward.
Oh, okay. We're not talking about Guido. Okay.
Correct. No, we are talking about the unfortunately injured Takayasu, who started off 7-1, but in that 7th victory, going up against our old foe, our old injury guy. Wasn't it Nagoya of last year that Tamawashi was taking everybody out? I'm pretty sure it was, where Tamawashi injured 2 or 3 guys. Well, he's back at his old tricks.
Yeah, destroyer of elbows himself, Tamawashi.
Yep. And their match yesterday, which we got to witness live and in person.
Right, you are, Ryan.
Tamawashi, there was a part where Tamawashi was kind of had Takayasu's arm in his grip, and he kind of wrenched on it going for a throw, but he didn't have the right leverage to actually throw Takayasu, but he had the right leverage to mess that elbow up. And when we saw Takayasu back in the dohyo today against Shodai, you could tell that that arm was basically useless against Shodai.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell, like, he went in to try to do a grab in the Mawashi. He was trying to do his brand of sumo, but like he realized he couldn't use that arm, and he was just kind of all over the place, unfortunately.
It looked like he was holding it close to his body a lot, didn't really try to extend it too much. He got Shodai close, but you could tell he just couldn't use his arm to finish Shodai off, and Shodai was able to take him out.
Yeah, you were talking to me about the... You were talking to me about the match, how we think that he might stick around until he is like maybe get one more win, because he's 7-2 right now, right? So if he gets one more win, he would actually not be Kadoban going into Aki next Basho. So like I feel like he might be able to just kind of sneak a win out there depending on who he faces. But after that, I expect him probably to go to Kyujo. My
guess is if he doesn't go Kyujo tomorrow, starting on day 10, he'll stick around for another day or two, try to get that last 8th win, and then pull out immediately after that. And he's going up against Meisei tomorrow, and Meisei is struggling. He only has 2 wins so far, so it could be a good opportunity for him to get that 8th win and then run.
That's definitely the case. We had the instant stat from our good old Jake, who kind of came in here. Apparently, the Takayasu and Tamawashi, they are 13-2 right now in favor of Takayasu. So it's actually a very bitter rivalry we have going on there.
Maybe Tamawashi is trying to injure Takayasu for all future matches. Put the fear in Takayasu so he can tip the scale in his favors there. Or maybe Tamawashi just is very unlucky with how often he injures people. All right. Before we go on to all of the lower division storylines, does anybody have any other guys that they want to talk about? Mac.
How about our sweet baby Enho? Isn't he a trooper?
Yeah.
He is fighting through that shoulder injury and he's winning.
Yeah, I was actually super worried about him coming into this Basho, like how hurt he was.
Except when he meets my bouncing baby boy, Chiyomaru, which I was ecstatic for, to witness that destruction on day 8, when just the mountain just overcomes little Enho. I'm sorry, I love Enho, but I love Chiyomaru just a little bit more. So, yeah happy with that one.
Yeah, he kind of knew just how to take care of Enho. It definitely looked like. But yeah, I'm super happy he's doing well. Like, it wasn't just, we'll get into this more, but it wasn't just us that were super excited about Enho. Everyone just seems to love Enho.
Oh, it was insane. As soon as he took the stage, everybody went nuts.
Yeah, we'll talk about this more. But when I was kind of watching some sumo live in a bar, like somewhere here in Japan, there was someone came up with his flip phone that had sumo on it. I have no idea how he made that happen, but it was definitely a thing. But we had the Enho match on there, and I know very simple Japanese, but I was like, hey, do you like Enho? Pretty much. And he's...
Pretty much?
Yeah.
Just point at the screen and go, Enho!
Yeah, that probably really got the same thing across.
Okay.
But we shared a hearty laugh, and he said, like, your Japanese is very good. So, which, I have no telling if that's actually the case or not, but it did put a smile on my face.
I would be remiss if I didn't point out my boy Hokuto Fuji with a very impressive first 9 days, going 6-3. And if you go back and listen to maybe like the Nato Sumo video that came out for day 8, right as Hokuto Fuji is doing his foot stamps, you will hear a loud scream for Hokuto Fuji, and that is yours truly, Ryan. So I would recommend going back and listening to that.
Yeah, the other thing that I noticed while we were there live in particular, when Asanoyama and Endo went up against each other,
Roof came off.
as long as we're talking about popular guys, that is the match that our entire day that we were there, that was the loudest I think the crowd got.
Oh, yeah,
crowd
definitely.
exploded for those guys. I mean, neither of them doing particularly well this tournament, but that's not important.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Endo is the golden boy. The women want to be with him. The men want to be him. And Asanoyama coming off that Yusho win as a young Japanese guy that looks like he's going to have very bright things in his future. Both
Rip that off of Austin Powers.
It's from a lot
that
more
phrase has
things
been
than just Austin Powers. I ripped it off from somewhere. I don't know the original source.
What phrase was that?
The women want to be with him. The men want to be him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Referring to...
All the ladies just said
Well, we're talking about Endo, but our wives just chimed up in the background about Enho.
Yeah, we'll get to that later, but our wives love them some Enho.
I don't blame them.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back and talk about a little bit what's going on in the lower divisions. In Juryo, we have Kyoku Taisei and Tsurugisho leading the pack at 7-2, and Max newcomer Ryuko is currently 4-5, so not doing too bad for his Juryo debut. Good enough so far that if he keeps up this pace, he's not going to be knocked right back down to Makushita. Speaking of Makushita, we got a host of people in that division. We have Hoshoryu, who is at Makushita 2 at 3-2. If he gets one more win, might secure him a Juryo promotion for
Very solid
Aki.
chances. Yeah, if he gets 2 more wins, I'd say he's a lock.
Yep. Naya at 2-3. I don't think we can expect him, even with 2 more wins, to get a 4-3 record. If he does do that, I don't think we can expect him going up to Juryo in the next Basho.
And I'd be kind of pessimistic on his chances too, because we saw him not doing so great yesterday.
Yeah.
Especially, seeing him live, added another layer of intrigue for us personally, but he did look like he was not at 100% health-wise.
Looked like he came up a little bit lame in the match we saw on day 8, but on day 9, he did win his match there, so maybe not nearly as bad as we thought. Another person we got to see live is Roga, 3-1, quickly dispatched his opponent yesterday. Shiraishi, the guy who won the Sandanme Yusho in the last Basho, in his first ever Basho, picked up his first loss recently, and he is 3-1 at the bottom of Makushita. Terano Fuji today picked up his 4th win. He is Kachikoshi at the bottom of the Makushita rank, so he'll probably be mid to top Makushita rankings next time. And then Musashi Kuni in Sandanme. Unfortunately, he was scheduled to be on the docket yesterday for us to see him live, but he went Kyujo yesterday. So he started off 1-2 with that Kyujo's 1-3, and if he doesn't come back, he's going to be looking at a steep drop down the Sandanme rankings. And Waka Ichiro towards the bottom of the Sandanme rankings, going pretty decent right now, 2-3. So hopefully he can pull out 2 wins in his final 2 matches.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer with Musashi Kuni pulling out. That means that we missed both of our Americans on day 8.
Which is unfortunate. We were going to embarrass them by screaming their names far, far more loudly than is customary during that time of the day in the matches.
And it would have been kind of awkward with our failed USA chant, but we probably would have tried.
Yeah, most definitely. But I think that is going to wrap up our actual sumo sport coverage for the Midway episode. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're just going to kind of talk about all of our experiences with sumo so far as the rest of our trip. Not a whole lot of sumo going to be going on except following the Basho. So we will be right back.
Hi, this is Ryan from the GSB podcast. In our Japan travels, we've run into financial troubles. We've gone through the podcast Petty Cash on sumo memorabilia and embarrassing amounts of ramen. So we come to you, our loyal fans, in our time of need. Help us get home. For a limited time, we are offering these fundraising opportunities. Your donation will help 4 hungry and destitute anyways, podcasters get home to their cats. For $7, you can get your very own hair plucked from Flarrick's beard.
Hey, what?
For $3.75, you can get a bottle of authentic GSB Nagoya sweat, straight from the non-air-conditioned Dolphins Arena. For $1.25, you can suggest punishments for Mac when he inevitably loses the prediction series. Like, seriously, anything.
Anything. Like I'd shoot a guy.
For just 75 cents, Jake will create statistic spreadsheets for whatever dumb thing you want.
Hey, do you think those fancy Japanese toilets can export data to CSV?
And I, Ryan, am willing to drive any bus or meet any Goedo without calling him names, because overrated is just a fact and not a name. And finally, for just a nickel, you can get access to the exclusive GSB nude recordings, where we do the same show, but in the buff. Saucy. Please donate today and bring these poor podcasters home. It's really hot here.
We are back, so we're going to start talking a little bit about our experiences with sumo here in Japan. We're going to talk about visiting the Tomioka Hachimangu Shrine.
Attaboy, you got it.
Figured it out. And that contains the Yokozuna Stone. We also found something we never knew, and Ozeki Stone is also there.
Yeah, lots of sumo history at that shrine.
Yep. We also visited the Ryogoku Kokugi-kan. That's the best you're going to get out of me, probably on a recording.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that word escapes me in decent pronunciation. But since we're talking about shrines a little bit with the Tomioka Hachimangu Shrine, which nailed it again, good for me, we're going to bring in Katie, friend of the podcast, who had spent some time with us talking about Shinto a while ago. And
our resident Shinto/culture expert.
Yes, and she
senior correspondent.
Exactly, yeah. She absolutely loves the shrines, and so her and Mac are going to talk about our experiences at that shrine and how we saw those stones.
Thanks for joining us again, Katie.
How are you doing tonight, Mac?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing really well.
Considering we've been traveling all day.
That doesn't even bother me at this point.
It's been fun on the bullet trains, though, right?
Oh my gosh. I wish we had them back home because they're so much more comfortable. I have enough room for like 3 people in that one bullet train seat.
Being a bigger man, I also agree. I enjoy the extra leg room.
And the seats go back way farther than an airplane seat.
But as Ryan alluded to a little bit ago, we went on a little bit of a journey and found the Yokozuna Stone.
You guys found a lot more than just the Yokozuna
Okay, that's
Stone.
true. That's true.
I know that
was the
part
big thing
you
we
were
wanted to see.
the most excited about, but you guys really got to see something incredible. So Tomioka Hachiman is a really big shrine. It's considered one of the 10 most important shrines in Tokyo.
Oh.
It's part of the Tokyo 10. So it's a really big deal. It hosts one of the largest festivals that happens in the entire area. It has a lot of history. So it's been around for over 400 years, even though
I
it's
did
been
not know that.
Yeah, it has been rebuilt once, though. It might have got burned down in 1945 for, cultural
Reasons.
Lots of
Let's gloss over that.
You know what? I'm finding out a lot of things in Japan burned down in 1945. So there you go.
I wonder what could have happened there. Anyway, moving on. So we came in through one of the side torii gates. Am I saying that right?
Tori.
And we kind of came in to the main shrine from the side, but it still opened up into a big courtyard, and there was a bunch of ropes and some bells. What's the whole layout with that?
Yeah, so each shrine is going to have its own unique individual layout, but you're going to find common pieces of ritualistic architecture, I'm going to say. So you walk through the torii gates. A lot of people will recognize them as those big red wooden gates with 2 posts and a top. They can be red wood, they can be stone, they can be brass, they can be copper, they can be metal, they can be literally any piece of material that you want them to be out of. It's just up to the individual shrine. But as soon as you step up to that torii gate, you're going to want to take a nice bow because you are respecting the transition from what is considered the mundane world to what is considered the sacred world. It is literally representing that you are crossing that barrier. So that bow as you walk in the torii gate is a sign of respect for entering that space. You guys have done a really good job, and actually everyone's been really great about as soon as we've been walking onto shrine grounds here, going up to the temiyuza. So it's that water trough.
Oh, that's what it's called.
Yeah, so a temiyuza is where you do temizu. The temizuya is the trough. Temizu is the ritualistic purification. So that's going to be similar to like holy water in a Catholic church. So the point of the water is that it is always fresh, running, clean water. You dip a ladle in it. You step back from the big trough so you don't pour dirty water into clean water. You're going to rinse your right hand, then your left hand. Nope, sorry, left hand, then right hand.
Okay, I was going to say, wait a minute, hang on. I don't think that was the order we did it in. Oh, crap, we disgraced a shrine. Oh, no.
You ruined everything. No. Left hand, right hand. You're going to put a little bit of water in your left hand, put it in your mouth, spit it out on the ground. You don't have to do that part. We've noticed people don't
Oh, God,
doing
okay,
it.
I did not do that.
We've noticed people just like touching their lips. So you don't have to put anything in your mouth if you don't want to. But you can put it in your mouth and spit it back out. And then since you touched your face, you have to rinse that left hand again. Then you hold the handle of that long ladle in between your hands and point it upwards so the water flows down the handle into the ground so it cleanses the handle of it as well. And then you can put it back on the water trough for the next person to use. So now you have paid your respects at the gate. You've cleansed yourself of all the impurities of the outside world. I mean, in Western culture, you'd call it sins, basically, but here you're just being cleaner. Just being more cleanly.
I didn't realize that was the significance of it.
Yeah, yep, it is. You're purifying yourself. So just like sumo wrestlers purify the sumo ring with salt, you are purifying yourself. So you're, washing off the evil spirits that you bring with you. You're washing off all of the, the non-mundane dirt that you might muddy up a sacred space with. Yeah, that really is it. And then you guys ritually cleansed yourselves, and you guys went up and you prepared to give an offering to the kami of the shrine.
Oh, right.
Yep. So the Tomioka Hachiman Shrine is a Hachiman shrine run by the Tomioka family. So Hachiman is the Japanese kami of the tutelage of warriors. So not the god of war. He's the patron god of warriors who are kind of training. So not actual battle, not actual conquest. That is why I think it's really good that it's associated with sumo. So sumo is, kind of a ritualistic combat sport almost. It makes sense that shrine has been closely tied with the sport. Sense. And you can walk up to the shrine. A lot of people are familiar with the money offering box, wooden with wooden slats in it. You can place your money inside, right? So, but before you do that, you're going to do what they call the 2-2-1.
Was it 2-2-1? I thought it was 3-2-1.
2-2-1.
It's 2-2-1. Okay.
Okay. So you're going to walk up to the shrine. You're going to give it a bow, a clap, make your prayer, and then a bow. And you're going to walk away.
For some reason, I thought it was 3-2-1, but then again, I might be thinking 3-2-1, go. It's kind of ingrained in my head there.
And the funny thing is I've noticed as we've been here that different shrines and different people do have their own little rituals. So I've seen people do 1 bow, 2 claps, 1 bow, 2 bows, 1 clap, 1 bow. But the general rule of thumb is 2 bows, 2 claps, make your prayer, and then 1 bow. Okay? Mm-hmm. And you would put your money into at the beginning of that.
Right. I do remember that.
Yep. So there are some pieces of money that are better than others for the shrines.
Oh, that's right. You told us about this.
5 yens. If you have a 5 yen coin, so 5 cents, that's lucky. So apparently,
and why is it lucky?
5 yen, when you say it in Japanese, is go yen.
Go yen.
And that's really close to the word for good luck in Japanese, which is like goin'.
Oh.
So it's good luck to throw in a 5 yen coin.
It's also kind of neat because it has a hole in the center of it.
Yes. Them and the 50 yen have a hole in the center. And I didn't find any specific reason that the 50 yen is lucky, but I've just heard that in general, if a coin has a hole in it, so a 5 or a 50 yen, it's lucky to throw it in a shrine.
Go yen.
Yes.
Goju yen. Sorry, I reversed that. Apologies. My Japanese is not so strong. Sorry about that.
No, you're just fine. Mine's not very good either.
But after we had made our offerings, we didn't really know where to go. We kind of looked around in the courtyard for some direction. We saw a road leading off kind of down toward a looked like a preschool in the distance. And then once we got under that road, we looked to our right, we saw another shrine, and then we saw the Yokozuna stone.
Yeah, so one of the big things is that these bigger shrines will often also have small shrines on the premises. That, to my understanding, is mostly just a space thing. So these big shrines that are made to endure tend to take on some of the other neighborhood deities as space changes, and that's something that the Association of Shinto can decide on where things can get placed if they're doing developments and things like that to make sure deities aren't lost. But yeah, the Yokozuna stone is housed on the shrine ground, so it is a sacred place.
It was sandwiched between two other shrines. There was one on its right and another one right behind it.
Yep, so it was with the big Tomioka Hachiman shrine, and then there was a little tiny neighborhood shrine next to it, and I haven't been able to find anything on what that shrine is for.
Oh.
So he might just be a small neighborhood deity, probably not a big national one like the Hachiman shrine is.
But I know that once we identified the Yokozuna stone as the Yokozuna stone, all four of us just kind of froze in our tracks, and then we got really excited, like, we found it, we found it, we found it!
I went from group photographer to like daycare provider pretty quickly.
You handled us pretty
It
well.
was really cute though.
We were just jumping all over the place. It was like, we found it! We found the Yokozuna! It was huge! Oh my gosh, it was massive!
It was absolutely massive. And seeing all the inscriptions and how deeply the carvings were put in the stone. Like, you could fit a fist into those carvings.
Oh,
is
yeah.
how deep they were in the rock. And that thing would have taken forever to build, you know?
It was so impressive just to see all the Yokozuna's names carved in there. Every Yokozuna from recorded sumo history carved into the stone.
And the unparalleled Rikishi, Raiden.
Of course.
Unparalleled
We've
Rikishi.
talked about him in the previous bonus episode. Thank you, Jake. No, we were, as soon as we saw that, we didn't think we could be more excited to be there. So then we went back to the courtyard, and we started looking around a little bit more. We were looking at talismans to put on.
I love talismans.
Yeah, there are a wide variety of prayers that could be offered there at the shrine. And then we started wandering just a little bit more, and then we came across the palanquins. They were covered in
the palanquins.
Were those gold? Were they made out of gold?
So the funny thing is the Tomioka Hachiman Shrine has a palanquin that weighs 4.5 tons.
That's how heavy it was.
It costs more than 1 billion yen.
Oh my gosh.
And it is encrusted with gold, rubies, sapphires, and diamonds. It is so large that
No wonder it was guarded.
It's not even removed from the shrine for neighborhood festivals. So normally you take them down the streets and parade them through the neighborhood. That is so big that they can't even move it. So they just keep it where it is.
But it looked like it had slats. It looked like people could try to pick it up.
It used to be like they used to move it, and now
they
it's
did.
just decided that we just keep it where it is.
Probably for health and safety reasons.
And I think when it's that heavy and when it's that expensive and it's that important, they're like,
Now, but then across from that, we made a discovery: the Ozeki stone.
That was such a nice surprise. I had no idea that was there. I knew we were looking for the Yokozuna stone, but I had no idea that we were going to find an Ozeki stone too.
And that had all the names of the previous Ozeki who had retired carved into it, including their handprints and footprints. And their hands were massive.
Yeah, it was like looking at little kids trying on their parents' shoes and like mittens when you put your hands up to that. You're like, Mac, you are not a small man and your hand was dwarfed.
Yes, it was. But again, for the second time, we went nuts. We just were like, oh my gosh, look at this, look at this. So it was a ball. We had a great time at the shrine. And thank you so much for coming with us and basically being our guardian for the whole time we were there. Our mother, as you will, as we were running around going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
I had a great time watching you guys and photographing your excitement throughout the day. So I'm happy to do it again next time you guys come to Tokyo and
Yes, please.
Bring me along.
Thank you very much, Katie.
Thanks, Mac.
Now, Jake, I do have to correct something that your wife said. I have it on good information. In fact, your wife's new information that the palanquins at the shrine Tomioka, I've already forgotten what it's called, shrine. Hachimangu Shrine are in fact still taken out to this day, which is an impressive feat because those look very heavy.
They do look very heavy, and yes, my wife, who gets nervous every time she's on the podcast, immediately when we were done with that segment, sat down and started doing research to make sure what she said was accurate.
So we now have hopefully fully correct information. I'm sure everything else Katie
guest
said
we have to worry about in the future.
Sure, everything else Katie said was absolutely perfect. Everything else we've said on this podcast, doubtful.
Right.
So, Jake, on our way from that shrine to the Ryogoku Kokuki-kan.
Nice.
I'm getting better. We actually stumbled upon a few stables.
Yeah, that's right. So in that Ryogoku neighborhood, it's just lousy with sumo stables. We decided to walk from the Tomioka Shrine. It's about a half an hour walk. If we took the subway, it would have been about 2 stops, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, whatever. We decided to walk. We got some coffee on the way and all that. But while we were staring at Google, confused about where the F we were, we all were just scanning around, and we noticed that, it just popped up Kisei Sumo Stable. Just popped up right there on the map.
Boom.
We weren't even searching for it, and we're like, oh, that's right. Why don't we just search for all the sumo stables in the neighborhood? Mm-hmm. We stopped by Kisei, and being our resident stable expert, I'll continue stalling for time while you bring up your...
I don't need to stall for time.
There you go. Okay, so who goes to Kisei Stable?
Kisei, the one guy that we know up in Makuuchi right now is Shima no Umi.
Okay.
There are quite a few fellas that are hanging around the Juryo level, such as Tokushoryu, Gagamaru, Akiseyama, and Hide no Umi.
Okay.
So they've got a few Sekitori at the Kisei stable at this time. Also, Ura is in the Kisei stable.
Okay. So hopefully another Sekitori soon, as he recovers from his injury.
We'll see.
But yeah, we stopped at a couple other ones on the way to the Chanko restaurant where we were getting our lunch. But these stables, with one notable exception, all these stables were just basically the size of a house.
Yeah.
Like just a regular urban Tokyo house. A couple of them had like a bigger door on the front or whatever. But really, they were no more than like 15 feet wide, regular house depth.
Maybe a couple extra stories on one or two of them. I think Kisei Stable has quite a few.
I think it was 3 stories.
Yeah.
But regardless, it wasn't. If you didn't know, you wouldn't have guessed that you were walking past a gym where like 10 to 20 guys live.
Yeah, it just looks like a house.
It just looks like a house, but they do have. There's signage, of course. There's in Japanese, of course, which means that, again, we never would have known just walking by. But there's signage of Kisei Sumo Stable. A handful of these stables had like a historical plaque, like a lot of places in Ryogoku. But a historical plaque just saying like this is this stable and this is some of their history and whatever. But the buildings themselves were very unassuming, not noticeable in the least, really.
Yeah, and when we say that we stopped by these stables, we literally stopped by, took a couple of pictures, and went on our way. There's nobody there.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's in Nagoya. I mean, we basically just walked around and took a picture of a few people's houses.
As weird as that sounds.
Yep.
But after we found the Kisei Beya, we also decided, hey, let's see what else we could find that's kind of on our way without going too far out of the way.
Right.
So in addition to Kisei, we also found Izutsu, which is the home to Kakuryu and his 2 little buddies.
Yeah.
It's only a stable of 3 people, and one of them is Yokozuna Kakuryu. The other 2 are a couple of guys down in like Sandanme, Jonidan, in that area.
Such a weird stable. I'd love to do a deeper dive on that somehow, because Kakuryu is clearly pretty good at sumo.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's just got 2 lower division guys as his only training mates, that's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, he's the 3rd Yokozuna to come from that stable. So it's been around for a while, so I'm wondering why it only has 3 right now. But that's for another episode completely.
Sure.
We also stopped by the Dewa no Umi stable, which is another one steeped in history. Obviously, I'm pretty sure we weren't at the original location.
I know this name has passed around a couple times between different stables, but it's one of the Ichiman or group of stables is named after Dewa no Umi. It's one of the most, it's a very prestigious name. But who do they have currently?
Currently in Makuuchi, they have Mitakayumi, and that looks like the only one that is a Sekiwake, or not Sekiwake, sorry, Sekitori. Also a Sekiwake, so that works out.
To be fair, that's
Yeah.
still accurate.
In the past, it looks like they've had close to 10 Yokozuna
Holy cow.
in their past, so a very rich history for the Dewanomi stable.
So like 15% out of all of the Yokozuna.
Pretty much, yeah. And then the last stable that we stopped by, and probably the best looking stable that we stopped by, was the Kasugano stable. And people will recognize quite a few guys from there, as Tochiozan, Aoyama, and Tochinoshin are all members of the Kasugano stable.
That one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that one we actually could see a little bit of their workout equipment just outside of the door there. They had a big tire with a rope attached to it for training purposes, and I think a couple of weights sitting out there.
Yeah, and it was also kind of funny. I think it was Izutsu. I think it was the Kakuryu stable, but there was there were cars at each of the stables, of course, because these guys are they're driven around when they need to, and I think Flarek snapped a picture of it, but the car that was sitting outside Izutsu's stable had a nice big cushion with a sumo wrestler pattern on it.
I'm pretty sure it was a Kakuryu pattern. Like
Specifically?
I think so. We'll need to look at that picture.
We better
again to
grab him and get that
clarify.
picture.
But yeah, so yeah, we did stop by a couple of the stables. That was really cool to see where some of these guys live. But after that, it was off to Chanko, and then we stopped by the Ryogoku Koguki-kan.
Nice.
Ryogoku Kokugi-kan.
Ryogoku Kokuki-kan.
All right, I think we're actually doing a pretty decent job of pronouncing that. But we are back here with Flarek to talk about our adventures at the Ryogoku Kokugi-kan. And actually wasn't a whole lot for us to do there, unfortunately, as, of course, the tournament is in Nagoya. But we still had our plenty of fun over there.
Yeah, I think that one of my favorite parts was kind of walking up to it and just seeing the whole entire building itself, because you see it all the time on all the recaps and all the highlights for sumo.
Yes.
So just seeing that in person was just amazing.
Yeah, and outside of the Koguki-kan, they have a couple of things that we had fun with. They have cutouts. They had one with Endo carrying a lady and the head cut out so the ladies can pretend that they're being whisked away by Endo, as I'm sure.
Or if you're just a man who just wants to be held, you can pretend you're being whisked away by Endo as well.
Yeah, and I believe you did pose in that one, so
Naturally.
we will post some pictures of that to our Instagram eventually once we have enough time to settle down and go through all of our pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, nope, Jake says that one's already up, so yeah, check out our Instagram if you want to see Flarek cradled in the arms of Endo, as I'm sure many people have fantasized.
Me included. There was also a cardboard cutout, I think, of Hakuho and some other...
And Kakuryu.
And Kakuryu as well, two of the very dominant Yokozuna. I actually kind of crouched down and tried to face him off, like as I would for a Tachiai. I will tell you, Hakuho is a very intimidating cardboard cutout.
Yeah, even the stare of Hakuho, even through cardboard, is very intense and intimidating. I did not go down to his level as Flarek did, and I'm glad that I did not. But yeah, that was pretty much it for what was outside of the Kokugi-kan. But we were able to go inside for a little bit. There was a nice little gift shop with a fine selection of all your sumo wares. Did you pick up anything from over there, Flarek?
I ended up not picking up anything, but there was a bunch of stuff that tempted me. I almost got a shirt with Shikona for Hakuho.
There you go.
Yeah, that looked really, really cool. And there's also kind of a hand towel that had like a bunch of rikishi just kind of like training, or they were kind of also another one where they were actually eating some chanko together, like having lunch. And I thought that was just fantastic.
Yeah, and they have all sorts of things over there. They have like sumo plush dolls, they have keychains, they have playing cards, they have T-shirts, they have towels. They have, I think they have like teacups and stuff like that.
They have lunch boxes.
Oh,
that's
they have-
actually where I put all my Kakuryu lunch boxes. I gave it. They picked them right up.
Yep. They're selling like hotcakes over there. But they also have realistic masks of some of the more popular rikishi.
The Tochinoshin one was a little creepy, I would say.
We should have bought one of those, but we might have an opportunity. Probably not. We're in Kyoto. I doubt they have Tochinoshin realistic masks
We'll
that
see.
we could find.
We're gonna go to the Don Quixote, which is kind of known for having like pretty much every. Last time I came here 3 years ago, I saw Hillary Clinton and Trump. Some like little creepy little mask you can kind of put over your face.
All right, potential.
So there's potential.
All right. I did pick up a couple of things while we were there. I'm a big fan. I love the handprint Tegata. I mean, that is our logo. So I did pick up a couple of those while we were at the Kokugi-Con, and I got a Hakuho and Kakuryu. Now, these were only $3 prints of Tegata, so they're by no means originals, but it's still a cool decoration to have either at my house or in the podcasting recording pit. Mm-hmm. And then there was one last thing we were able to do at the Kokugi-Con. There was a sumo museum over there that we were able to go into. You'll get no pictures of that. They have a pretty strict no picture policy in a lot of these like museum areas.
Yeah, they have a very firm-looking sign that says no pictures.
Yeah, and they especially put everything in English that they don't want you to do in Japan. A lot of signs, all Japanese, no English. But if they don't want you to do something, they're going to put that in English.
That is true. So no pictures of that thing. But there was some really kind of cool stuff there. One of the most recent, probably, additions is the Presidential Cup that was presented by the President of the United States in the last Basho.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. That's a very impressive trophy. Mm-hmm. It was very easy to see why it was difficult for everybody to carry on the stage, except for Asanoyama, who won that tournament. But that was very impressive to see. They just had like a collection of photographs from like Rikshi and Gyoji throughout history.
Yeah, some kind of old, some Kensho Mawashi and some old kind of outfits that people used to wear.
Yeah, I thought that Kensho Mawashi were fascinating. Just because looking at it on TV, you can't see like how thick a lot of like the stitching design on it is. Like it was like half inch, 3/4 of an inch thick in spots, and it's just like a 3D design on top of the Kensho Mawashi instead of just like a flat design on it. I thought that was very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I agree. The other big thing I found very interesting was they had actually pictures of every single Yokozuna from the beginning all the way through the current Yokozuna, most recent of Kakuryu. Kiseno Sato.
Yes.
The cool thing was like before, like obviously there was photographs available. They just had some like paintings of them being Yokozuna, and they all look really like intimidating, like old Japanese art style. Mm-hmm. It's just really cool looking.
Yeah, and then it transitions to like the first Yokozuna they could get photographs of that weren't an artist rendition, and they were a lot smaller than they are nowadays. So you get these like huge hulking forms in the artist renditions, and then it's just like, I wouldn't say slight framed guys, but just like a lot smaller than what you're getting in the artist renditions.
Yeah. There was a rice shortage at that time.
Oh, yeah. That's what was happening.
That was just kind of that was the style. That was the meta at the time.
Yeah. But that was just a one-room museum, not a whole lot to it. A lot of pictures, a lot of old artifacts, kind of randomly assorted, chosen. Didn't really seem like a whole lot of historical significance to these things, just kind of what they had. But it was still very cool to see a lot of that stuff. So I think next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to kind of break down what our day at Dolphins Arena in Nagoya was like. So I think we're going to start off with the very beginning and get your brother in here, Flerick, and talk about what it's like waiting in line to get tickets for a day of sumo.
I think so. And we're back. We're actually here with a special guest here today. It's someone very special to me. This is John Flair, as I call my brother.
Yeah, I also call you brother too, but you're like my little brother. So yeah, thanks for having me. I'm John.
Yeah, right here. To give context of this night, we're actually all kind of sitting in the living room together, watching some YouTube and drinking some beers, and we just kind of pulling on people as they become free. And so let's talk about some sumo, John. How's that sound?
Yeah, let's talk about some sumo, which of course I know little about. Which after meeting you guys, I've learned way more than I ever knew in my entire life.
So it's we tend to talk about sumo, don't we?
Yes, you are. I've never met anyone who talks about sumo like you guys talk about sumo. So yes,
and that means something because you live in Japan.
Yes, I've been living here for the last 4 years. So yeah, I've been aware of sumo, but I've never have partaken of the sumo. So
yeah. So let's as you probably have gathered, John doesn't know too much about sumo, but he is kind of joining me during our trip here to kind of guide us around and also kind of take some time vacation as well. And he decided he wanted to attend the sumo day, the same one we did, but he didn't buy a ticket in advance like everyone else did. So he kind of decided to do the wait in line before to buy a ticket.
Yes, waiting in line before.
So like, kind of paint this day for us. What did it entirely entail? What time did you get there to have to buy some tickets?
Well, I think we should rewind to the day before.
Oh, you're trying to drive the bus on me, John?
I am going to drive the bus this time.
All right, go ahead.
But anyway, like we went to the stadium the day before, and we talked to a guy, and he gave us some pretty solid advice about, where we should show up and what time. And just said, like, you need to, like, what time should I show up? And he said, like, 4, 5, and he's like, probably 4. So I was like, all right. So anyway, the next day, getting back to your question, I went to bed at like 12:30. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, and I just ran to the stadium, which took me about 15 minutes. So I got there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I got there at like, 4:45, and I was in line, and I was like, okay, I'm here.
How many people were there?
Well, my guess at the time was 30, which I didn't know for sure yet. It's just
Yeah, and like our best knowledge is maybe like 100 tickets or maybe like 120 tickets available.
Yeah, I mean, that was my guesstimate later. So, like, what happened in the morning, like, it's raining, I have my umbrella, like, I'm falling asleep standing up, I have nothing to sit on. Other people came, and they were smart. They brought seats to sit on, and they brought manga to read, or, like, they brought stuff to read, and I was just
man.
I brought nothing.
And then you just kind of sat there just, like, falling asleep?
Yeah, just falling asleep standing up, it was about a 3-hour wait.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so after waiting in line, they made an announcement saying, the same guy that we talked to the day before, he was like making an announcement, hey, we're going to do a ticket thing at 6:20.
Okay.
And I was hoping that it was going to be like the actual ticket, then I can go back and go to sleep and come back. But no, it was just handing out the numbers in line. So I was actually number 29.
Yeah.
In line, so
Were you kind of questioning your resolve to actually attend sumo at this point?
A little bit, but I was already there, so I'm kind of one of those people, like, if I'm there, I'm going to do it kind of thing. So I already made the conscious choice of I'm doing this. So, and I figured, the time to watch sumo is with the sumo guys, so I'm just like, I got to go.
Yeah.
So anyway, like, later on, like, a little bit before 6:20, some foreigners showed up and was like, hey, can we get some of these tickets? And the guy's like, hey, there's no, the tickets are sold out.
Oh, man.
Sold out. So I think, this particular morning, showing up at 5 a.m. would have been okay.
Okay. And to give context, this was in Nagoya. I think we've heard that Tokyo might be a little bit more popular. So just kind of keep this advice in the context that it is. It might not work out for you, but in this particular case, it seemed to work out just fine.
I think the guy who gave us the advice, like, he was pretty, like 4 or 5 is a good time to show up. And he seemed a little iffy about 5. But in my case, 5 would have been golden.
Yeah.
So anyway, these foreigners showed up, and then, they kept saying, like, oh, like, I want to go in. But they had a sign that closed them off, but then they still got in line. So I'm not sure what the guy said. I saw them in the arena later, and I think they didn't get a seat. They were able to stand, though.
Oh, cool.
So they're able to get admission, but they only standing, like, in the back.
Okay.
So anyway, like, the tickets, it's there's 2 sides of the stadium. So it's one side and the opposite side, and it's only the top row that you can sit in.
So it's kind of like really back on the nosebleeds, the seats that you got.
Yeah, absolute nosebleeds. But, it's a nice chair. You can still see everything that's going on. And, I mean, the ticket was 2,900 yen, which isn't terrible. And
which roughly translates to about $30 American.
Yeah, just about $30. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, when I first was sitting there, like, I sat in the wrong seats and all that, and I was just, I didn't realize it was opposite. When it was first explained to me, I thought it was just like the top row of all the round arenas. So I sat in some nice seats. And then I was told to move a few times, and then I realized, oh, I'm definitely doing something wrong here.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's maybe not the most choice of seats, but if you're kind of looking to actually like attend the sumo match, it really works because like the day of, if you show up early enough, you can probably get yourself a ticket.
Yeah, if you show up early enough, I think you absolutely can. And if you're a foreigner who looks really sad, maybe they'll give you a standing ticket.
Just bring like a puppy or something, or just really bad clothing or something.
Yeah, well, like a family showed up later and they didn't get tickets because it was a small children and all that. And so it was just kind of like, well, small kids are not going to stand. I mean, they must have been like 3 or 4 years old. I was just like, oh, okay.
Well, that sounds like a great experience. So yeah, we'll keep that in mind. And I'm glad you were able to join us. I know we're going to be kind of moving on to what the for us, the most of the GSB people were able to order some tickets beforehand, so we didn't have to wait in line. So we're going to move into what it's kind of been like for us right now. So
All right,
moving
sounds good.
on.
Yeah, moving on. Rolling the boulder.
Driving the bus is hard, Ryan. Get me out of here. Get me out. All right. For some reason, I'm still here.
You're turning into Ryan. You just transitioned with an all right.
All right, boys. Did I?
Yeah, you just did it again.
Right, you are, everyone.
There we go. That's
All
better.
right. I think I'm going to... No, I'm going to keep making fun of Ryan just as much as I always do. Let's talk about the beginning of our day. So we heard about John, his early getting tickets. He actually chose to take a nap after that, rightfully so. Because he was like, what, watch the Joe Noguchi matches all day? Like watch sumo for 10 hours in a row? He was not up for that for some reason.
I know, the nerve. Like, come on, we're here. We need to experience the entire breadth of sumo quality from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what. And we also heard that one of our favorites, the Sumo Samurai Hattori Sakura, he was going to be opening day 8 with his match.
But first, we had to wake up.
Yeah, we had to wake up.
I have to say, without the assistance of Ryan knocking on my door, I was not awake when we were ready to leave.
Your body didn't instantly sense that there was sumo about to happen?
No, I was dead asleep, and all of a sudden I hear this knocking on the door. I'm like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. No, my alarm was not set to the correct time.
Oh,
so
wow.
I dressed very quickly and ran down the stairs.
That's funny, yeah. It's been a very tiring vacation in many aspects, but it's been really, really fun. But yeah, I'm glad you definitely were able to wake up, because after you got downstairs, I think you realized what was happening.
I was jazzed at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, so we walked to the not the Kokugi-Con, but the Dolphins
We wish it was
Arena.
the Kokugi-Con.
The Dolphins Arena in Nagoya. Mm-hmm. We were able to look at the Nagoya Castle as we walked by.
Beautiful in the morning.
Yeah, and we were just able to painlessly, we found our entrance like on the side, and able to painlessly kind of enter.
Well, we passed by John, too. As
we
we were
did.
walking in, John looked like death.
Yeah, he looked like death, and he says, I have the ticket. And then he just kind of
gonna
like
go nap.
went really pale and just kind of walked off into the distance. It was really funny.
But we practically skipped into the arena.
Yeah.
Yes, we're here, let's go do this.
Yeah, really excited. So we went up to like the main door and we kind of handed them our tickets and saying like, yeah, we have tickets. Let us in, please. But no, they actually spoke fairly good English, and we actually someone offered to kind of show us to where our seats were. Which we ended up getting some kind of box seats. I believe some 2-person box seats is ones that we ended up with. And so she started kind of leading us towards the arena. And as we got up and kind of going into the arena, it was very, very empty, but there was a few people. And as we were kind of walking by, like out in the corner of the eye, I was like, oh, who am I walking by? And like I noticed it was actually the former Yokozuna Kiseno Sato himself. I don't know
Just
about
this massive shadow, just this just mass in our way. And as soon as we look over, like, holy crap, it's him!
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I was not expecting that right now.
No.
I definitely kind of made eye contact and tried my best to just kind of not like react too much and just kind of keep walking past.
Oh, no. You and I were both giddy as schoolgirls as we were going by. It's like, oh my god, that was him!
And as Jake said, like trying the best not to crap our pants, at least yet.
Yes, yet.
And as soon as we passed by, like I know I just like turned around, looked at everyone, and I was like, that was Kiseno Sato.
And then, a little further down, we saw Naruto Oyakata.
Yeah, the former Ozeki Kotushu, I believe is his name. Kotoshu. Thank you. Jake is once again helping out with the facts,
The pronunciations.
Quite some fun facts. And so, yeah, that was really exciting. I definitely had the same thing where I made eye contact with him, and like I think we both knew at that second, like I knew who he was,
Which is why he yawned right about the same time
Yeah.
we walked past him.
Yeah, and I was like seconds away from just like geeking out and saying like, I know you.
But we went to our seats.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
attendant said, "Okay, you're gonna sit here. You know, you can order food. You can do all this thing." Now, the rest of it, the reason I said all these things, because I was still focused on Kiseno Sato, because I looked over and I saw people taking photos with him. I'm like, we have to get a photo with this guy.
Yeah, for sure.
So we threw all of our stuff down.
Yeah. So like we got to our box. Let's describe the box a little bit. It's just it's definitely like small. I would say.
No, small is a correct, adjective to describe it.
Yeah, but we were able to kind of fit both of us in there, and there was kind of shoe boxes.
Not easily.
Yeah, there were shoe boxes behind us. Like when you get in, you're supposed to take off your shoes. You don't want to wear those, and like there's exactly one zabuton for each person in case like a emergency like a kimboshi happens. You can just kind of throw it out.
Which we were hopeful for that day.
Yeah, well, I was half hoping, but we can explain that later. And so like we kind of got settled to. It looked like a plate, and it had like a nice little table where you can kind of put some stuff up. And you were saying like we saw Kiseno Sato was kind of taking pictures.
I never took my eyes off the guy. That's why I had no idea what the attendant was saying. I'm like, yeah. I hear you. But that's Kiseno Sato over there.
Yeah, she was very nice. We kind of asked about it. She actually pointed out like this is a very famous person you just passed. Like it was like really cool. It's like, oh yeah, we know.
we know who he is.
Yeah, so she was being very helpful and knowledgeable about the situation, which I really enjoyed. We ended up asking her like, would it be okay if we took pictures, and she said it would be fine. And actually, in the morning would be the best time to actually go take pictures
if you ask.
Yeah. So at that time, like with the blessing of that, it was okay. We immediately we just jetted there, tried to get a picture taken with him.
No, and of course he saw us coming. He was like, "Oh yes, please, GSB, come take photos with me." No, there was a line.
We could tell he was we can tell like he didn't recognize it. No, it was. Yeah, there was definitely a line forming of a lot of people were really excited. He was actually signing autographs of stuff, but people brought some stuff. In our haste, we didn't have anything to sign. We were just gonna be happy with the picture, and so it kind of worked up to it. We asked someone to take it, and we just kind of got as close as we dared.
Yeah.
And we got like the cool picture that you will see on our Instagram and probably Twitter as well.
And then as soon as we got back to our seats, he was gone.
That is true, yeah. I think he kind of realized he definitely was like there for a little bit, then he just disappeared entirely. So I highly recommend if anyone goes there, if you see someone to take a picture with, try to get there sooner than later because they might not stay there.
And ask them nicely. But no, that definitely set the tone for the day.
Yeah, it was... That I could have for some reason been kicked out of Sumo for the rest of the evening. I would have made my day. I would have not been happy, but I would think, I got a picture with Kiseno Sato.
Definitely worth it.
I think at that time we started to kind of hear that there was a sumo starting, and so we started trying to look at our seats and see if we can get a little bit closer. And I think we're going to switch out to someone else to kind of talk about that a little bit more.
So yeah, as Flarik mentioned, the matches were starting. We wanted to see Hattori Zakura. We were already kind of scouting out the front location because our seats just weren't going to cut it that early in the morning. There
Not
were
with
plenty
an empty arena.
Yeah, there were plenty of open seats. Like the vast majority of the seats were open, and we did have some Twitter fans wanting to see us on camera, and we also wanted to see us on camera.
Of course.
So we went down to we found camera side immediately, went down and tried to find our seats, and then we initially sat in a box that I think we found was just one box off of camera. And so we sat there for a match or two. It was like, this isn't going to cut it.
We had the trusty Abima stream up to kind of show us where we were sitting. Not that we were really trying to get on TV. Yeah, we kind of were. Yeah. But we all of a sudden just saw our feet just to be.
Yep, it was just our feet at the beginning. And then I did download the Abima TV app, which works since I'm in Japan. As soon as I go back to America, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have access to that again. So we were using that to kind of guide our way, figure out where we were at. And luckily, we had a couple of our fans watching that same stream as we were, so they were able to help us out, let us know if we were on camera. And so a lot of time, we eventually did find our spot. There was a lady and a guy both wearing red. We ended up right behind them. They were on camera. There was also the man in yellow.
The man in yellow was probably one of the other highlights of our experience because he was there right when we were. He set up a banner, pure yellow hat, had to have been advertising for his local restaurant, but he was everywhere. He was down on the floor. He was up in the stands. He was in the box seats. He just kept moving, and he never left.
No, yeah, I don't think there was a half hour that went by that we didn't see the guy in yellow walking around somewhere. But yeah, we eventually settled in our seats up front, confirmed, okay, yeah, we could see our feet on Abima. Hey, that's good enough for us. Yay. Because apparently Abima had a banner at the top most of the time that covered our faces.
Obscured us.
Yeah. So we posted a picture of our feet on Twitter. It's like, hey, look at us. We're on
We
Twitter.
made it.
But then when the Yobidashi was doing his song during announcing who's going to be in the next match, that went away, and everybody got to see our glorious faces on the Abima TV stream. It was a wonderful moment for everybody that got to gaze upon us at 8 o'clock in the morning, Japan time. That would have been, 6 p.m. our usual time. Yeah, Saturday night.
But the real reason we wanted to sit up close, other than getting on TV, was to actually see sumo as close as possible so we could really feel the impact of not only the tachiai, but if these guys fell off the ring, just what it was like just to be in the stands. And wow, when those guys hit the mat, the whole arena floor shook.
Yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of impact. You get a lot more definite crack on the headbutts. There was one in particular when we were up front where it was mid-match. It wasn't right on the tachiai, just like an adjustment, and there was a big crack where you could see their two heads conked together. Match ended shortly thereafter, and then I could tell both guys kind of like wincing after that one just because of the head smack. But yeah, sitting like eye level and watching the guys that close is just something you can't experience through the TV.
It gives you a real sense of just how much power these guys are bringing when they charge into each other and do all of their tsupari and all the different moves that they're trying to just knock each other down, essentially. You just feel how much power these guys are generating.
Yeah, even the guys down at Jonidan, Jonokuchi, because we were only down there for all of Jonidan and part of Jonokuchi. All of Jonokuchi and part of Jonidan. Thank you, Jake. Even the guys at the lowest levels, it's still a lot of power, a lot of strength going in there. Maybe Hattori Zakura excluded from that.
Hey, our little samurai is still fighting on.
He is. All credit to him. Gotta love his spirit with that. But yeah, I was surprised at, I guess, the quality of sumo we were seeing at the lower divisions. I guess I kind of assumed it wouldn't be as good. And when we saw some big names that, due to injury, shuffled down, they did kind of steamroll past those guys. But still, the competition there was a lot better than what I was expecting to see from those guys. And we got to see it live up close. There was a mono-e at one point, and we could hear what the Shimpan were saying. It was a fantastic experience.
No, but as amazing as that was, unfortunately, we couldn't stay there forever.
No, those weren't the seats we paid for.
No, I wish we could, but no.
Eventually, somebody would have come and very politely asked us to leave and go to our regular seats. We didn't stick around for that to happen, but we did somewhere during Jonidan head up to our usual seats to kind of get settled in.
But I think I'm going to hand that off to Jake to give a better perspective of what it was like to sit in our actual seats and watch a sumo match.
Thank you, Mac. Yeah, as they were saying, we eventually moved up to our box seats, which were, I believe it was technically box B was the category that we're sitting in.
Yeah, twin box B, something like that.
Yeah, so it was actually accidentally really fortunate.
Yes.
Because the box seats that you see on camera are like 4 cushions in one square that has got to be maybe 4 square feet.
Yeah, it's very tiny space.
Yeah, so probably, realistically, it's probably like give or take 5 feet by 5 feet.
Probably,
for 4 people, something like that, which is not very large when you've got 4 Westerners who are used to sitting cross-legged for no more than like 5 minutes at a time.
Oh, yeah, I was shifting, once we settled in, I was shifting at minimum 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, no kidding. But no, the box seats that we ended up in were excellent. I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house as far as the view goes.
The stadium isn't as big as like an American like basketball stadium or anything like that. There's not like a second tier of seats. It's all like one section going up.
I do know that Kokugi-Con is bigger than Dolphins Arena, but Dolphins Arena, it's a pretty shallow grade. But because of the placement and the orientation and everything, there's no bad seats as far as view. I mean, I wish we would have been closer for camera zoom purposes, but
yeah.
But what was better about box B seats than the seats that were closer is that it was just 2 people to a box, but the boxes were the same size.
Yeah. And we got a handy table.
We got a little table so that when the attendants came by and asked if we wanted to order lunch, we could just move the table around. We could sit down, leaning a little bit against the seats behind us, and stretch out our legs, which probably added years to our lives.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. As good as those seats were, like compared to the 4-person box that we originally had paid for, and then once the ticket service that we used came back and said, there's none of these available. We had to downgrade you to these twin box seats. That was really a huge lifesaver for us.
I was disappointed at first because online it's not super clear if you don't speak Japanese what the box seats are like.
Yeah.
So we didn't know that being downgraded actually was going to be heaven for our knees.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still not the most comfortable thing because you're still sitting on a wooden plank with a thin pillow beneath you, and the plank, there's no back to the box. The only back that you have to lean against is like a 2-inch thick, wide piece of wood that's supporting.
Which is just the seats behind you.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't really lean back against that with any comfort. If you sit cross-legged, your leg's going to go asleep after a certain amount of time. If you try to like sit on top of your legs, like
kneeling.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
I regardless of surface, my feet go asleep in like a second when I do that.
Yeah.
It was not. It's something that I think would be worth preparing for. If you're interested in sitting in a box seat, you should try practicing a little bit maybe and see like if you can stretch out, get a little better at it. But
yeah.
Your feet will go asleep. It's just a matter of like when and how badly.
Yeah. Also, don't try to stick 4 people in a 4-person box. You'll thank us later.
Yeah. Another pro tip: don't be tall.
Yeah.
I noticed myself struggling a lot less than Mac did.
Oh yeah, Mac and Flerick, they're a little bit taller than Jake and I. I'm significantly taller than Jake. So
about a foot.
But no, yeah, I think those guys were having a bit more discomfort issues than we were. But I mean, especially during the early matches, we were getting up plenty, checking out the merch stands, finding out what was available for food. So I think we'll get Flerick in here to talk a little bit about what the options were like for that.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa, Flerick. Welcome back to your Konbanwa. Sorry, it's the evening now. Welcome back to your own podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan and I were talking about our seats, and right now we're kind of talking like the lower divisions, the Sandanme, the Makushita, that kind of grind.
Mm-hmm.
This
is one that I actually missed a lot of this because I jumped out for a second.
Yeah, that's right. You were looking for a pickup ultimate frisbee game, weren't you?
Yes, I heard whispers in the wind that there might be some people throwing frisbee around in a park somewhere, but unfortunately that did not end up being the case.
Yeah. But by the time you got back, like I said, we're in this big grind. Early in the morning, it's the novelty's there, everything's fresh. It's just like spectacular to see sumo live. But after like 3 hours, it's like, I still don't know who these guys are, but the novelty is starting to wear a little thin, and I'm physically uncomfortable and all that junk. So, So around this time that you're getting back here, we're talking mid-morning, around lunchtime, we're getting antsy, so we wander around. We look for food, we look for merch.
Yeah, this was after I think the Terunofuji match.
Yeah, we were sitting still. We were trying to keep a good spot and stay, power through until we got to the bottom of Makushita. Was kind of our point where there were 3 or 4 matches in a span of 10 minutes where it's like, okay, we're gonna watch these, and then we got to walk around because we can't just sit here forever.
I know I was energized. I was like walking around all day.
Yeah, I know. So. I mean, by all means, we were very jazzed and excited about it, but it's like the Sekitori don't even start for like 3 hours, dude. We got to do something.
It is a very long day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading there was a sign for some Chanko that was available. And that kind of what got us started on our venture.
Yeah, and the Chanko is served by specific stables, but we didn't end up actually getting that to work out because the matches that we wanted to see before getting up were right around this 1 o'clock time period where Chanko was starting to get served. So we get up around 1:15 or so, and we're like, let's go check out the Chanko line. And
It was long. It was long.
we walked out. I think we walked out behind our seats, and we're like, okay, we'll walk around half the stadium, just get our legs back, and halfway around the stadium where they're serving chanka, we'll get a bowl. We walk out behind our seats, and that's the back of the line. It was like halfway around the stadium. So, pro tip: if chanko's important to you, probably get in line same way John did that morning for his ticket.
About 4:00 in the morning.
Yep, give or take. But we did end up finding food. There are, let's see, I'm willing to bet there were 10 to 15 or so merch stands scattered around. A lot of overlap for sure. But there was so much merchandise, souvenirs, snacks, and in a couple places larger, more than just snacks, like full-on bento boxes for lunch and stuff like that. What did you end up getting for food?
And I ended up getting, I think, some kind of meat on the stick. Some kind of thing with that.
Like yakitori?
Yakitori, yeah. Some kind of variant of that. And also I got some, I think it was some sushi and something that kind of looked like a dumpling, but actually inside of it was rice instead of some kind of meat. Yeah, but it was very, very tasty. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, there was the Japanese version of stadium food is certainly cheaper than what we have come to know in America, and
yeah,
I mean also very novel because we're not familiar with the basic cuisine.
Yeah, I also got myself a tall boy of Asahi Super Dry, one of the
Super Dry,
one of the beers prominent in Japan. So that was fun. And to give people a context, that was roughly about $6 to get, which I think in stadium beer prices is actually not too bad.
Yeah, I went to a UFC event with my family a couple weeks ago, and what was the beer price? I think one beer was like $15 to $20.
Yep.
So, yeah, if you're at an American stadium, maybe one beer. But here it was not a big deal. We were able to get stuff for a fairly reasonable price.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to kind of talk about is like there was a lot of people just kind of, it was almost kind of like a picnic. Like they were out there to kind of hang out the whole entire day. Like they were just kind of ordering some food, having beer, just kind of chatting throughout the day. It was a kind of a very nice atmosphere, kind of leading up to the final bouts throughout the day. Yeah,
absolutely. Those earlier the lower divisions definitely felt like we're just hanging out here and the sumo is on. Like it's a day out at the park kind of a deal, kind of an atmosphere.
I definitely got that vibe. Yeah.
It was a good time, and we did find some pretty solid merch. I got like a knockoff plastic Goombay. I got like a picture program of all the matches and stuff like that.
What did you end up eating for lunch?
No, I got one of the bento boxes. Ryan and Mac actually got the bento box that the attendants bring to your seat and everything.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was pretty good. I got one that was more of just like an off the shelf thing because I wasn't hungry at that time. I was grabbing stuff later. But yeah, the bento boxes come with a huge variety of things in them, and yeah, I basically had a full lunch for $20, and in the context of stadium food, I still feel like I made out pretty good there as far as that price. But yeah, a little bit of rice, a little bit of fish, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And then after we ended up eating some food, we kind of went wandering the stadium, didn't we?
Yep. And that's where we got most of our merch. We saw a lot of people. We actually met a former Sekiwake.
That we did.
Yeah, we wandered. One of the things after meeting Kisano Sato and, promptly losing our minds about it, we kind of had it in the back of our minds the rest of the day that we need to keep an eye out for more celebrities, more people that we would recognize. And as we were walking around, one of the places we passed by was the main entrance, and we see former Sekiwake Teirao just tearing tickets, letting people in, and we got in the not insignificant line behind him to take a picture.
Yep.
How long do you think we ended up waiting there?
At least a good 5-10 minutes or so.
Yeah, because he was tearing tickets. So like if there's people that are coming in and people coming into the stadium for him to tear their tickets and like point them towards their seat, like obviously that's more important than just fans trying to take a picture with him.
Exactly.
But eventually.
Yeah, eventually. And the worst part was he was like so like chattable with them. Like he was the greatest host. Like welcomed them into like the sumo arena.
He seemed like such a nice guy. He was willing to spend a few minutes chatting with everybody who walked in and immediately recognized him.
Yeah, exactly. Which of course it took our picture taking a little bit longer, but it was just kind of it was really nice to kind of see him interacting with people.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's really cool that they put somebody like him. He was. For context, he wrestled in like the 80s and 90s in particular. He's been retired about 15 years. Lost pretty much all of that sumo weight. So I only recognized him because he's a regular commentator. You see him behind the desk a lot, and because if you Google image search him for when he's wrestling and when he's commentating, it's like two different people. Yeah, that weight's a significant factor there. But yeah, it was cool. We got a picture. Like we've been mentioning, check out our Twitter, Instagram, etc. We posted a ton of pictures from that day. That was a great time, and there will be more to come. Because we didn't have the good camera until later in the day, and we're still working on getting pictures off of that and editing them and stuff. But that wandering around, that was a great time.
It was a good time. So we definitely kind of tried to go all to nooks and crannies that we can go into the arena. And one of the things we went back is like to the back corner where the rickshaw actually were entering into the arena. And it was nice because we could kind of walk up. We can see the hallway where it actually entered into the dojo. And before the Makuuchi, from what we can tell, wasn't like roped off at all. Like you can just kind of walk back there as you're trying to get somewhere. And there's this kind of some rickshaw just kind of warming up, like kind of doing their own thing. Obviously not trying to bother. I didn't try to bother them, but we just kind of walk past and just kind of take a look at how the whole thing was.
Yeah. We certainly didn't want to bother anyone who had not had a match yet that day, and they, people who were still in the zone. But yeah, there was a shocking amount of freedom just. Especially in the lower divisions where it's just like, well, I guess you go through this same tunnel. Oh, excuse me, got to squeeze by you. This Sumitori-san, just walking down the same hallway we are. Pardon me, Sumimasen.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was awesome. There was the crowd obviously thickened up as time went, but for reference, in Dolphins Arena, this is the northeast corner on ground floor. That's where you would go to see the guys walking in and out of their matches and in and out of the arena when they arrive and so on. But yeah, so anything you had to add there, like on the food, the merch, the wandering about?
I know. I think we covered most of everything. I want to kind of just redouble on the atmosphere. It's just kind of a really nice kind of hanging out at the park.
Yeah.
And there's some sumotori kind of going on live at the exact same time.
Why don't we get Mac back in here to talk about the end of the day as everything heated up and we got to the Makuuchi matches.
Well, Flarik did not introduce me, as don't know what grudge he's holding against me, but Ryan and Mac are here to talk about what it was like to watch Makuuchi Division live and in person, because watching Makuuchi live and in person is a lot different than watching it on your TV, and it's a lot different for watching Sandanme live and in person.
Oh, yes. And there's no comparison to Jonokuchi or Jonidan either. Once Makuuchi started, the whole stadium just started flipping out. It was amazing.
Everybody has their favorites, and you knew it the second that they stood up to get their drink of the Chikara Mizu or the power water that they have. At the start of Juryo, though, I don't think I ever really noticed this before. That's when like all the big ceremony stuff happens. When it's
became more ritualistic at that point.
Yes, Makushita Sandanme all below that. The Yobidashi calls out the names. The Gyoji will call out the names. They'll do a couple of like the stamps of the feet, preparatory, and then they go down, do the real match, and then that's it. When you get up to Juryo and all the Sekitori, then you're introducing the Chikara Mizu, you're introducing the salt throwing, you're getting a lot more face-offs before the actual Tachiai happens. All that to help build the drama, get more ceremony in there. But especially at the higher division matches, like especially when you're getting up to Sanyaku, it also helps to build up the drama of the matches.
No, it was truly a sight to behold. Just seeing it, even when they were doing their Doyo Eries, just everybody up and clapping and screaming for the guys that they wanted to do well in that tournament. Like especially when Endo, Abi, Enho, Hakuho. I mean,
Asanoyama. Mitake Yumi had a very big one as well.
But it was like the roof was going to come off. Everybody just roaring, just like, come on, do well. And just cheering for their favorite guy. It was just, you had... I have to say this. You had to be there to really experience it. It's like when you go to an NFL game for the first time.
Yeah.
You don't get a sense of just what it feels like to actually witness and be at a sporting event that you love and that you really are really into. And the whole crowd, everybody there is into the game right along with you. There's just a power there.
Yeah, and I mean, we got into the spirit as well. We were yelling out the names of all of our favorites as they came up for
battle.
As
you alluded to earlier in the episode.
Yes, I went particularly hard for Hokuto Fuji because it seemed like I was the only guy that was going to cheer for him in that arena.
No, there were the nice ladies behind us that were very politely going, Hokuto Fuji!
Yeah, I felt like their voice wasn't going to carry to him to guide him to victory like mine would, so I made sure I was extra loud for Hokuto Fuji there. I do have a bone to pick with the people at the stands where you pick up your merch. No Hokuto Fuji merch. I wanted to get maybe a towel with Hokuto Fuji. Doesn't exist. I wanted to get a Tegata for Hokuto Fuji. Doesn't exist. I want to get a realistic mask of Hokuto Fuji. Does not exist.
Now, I'm going to call you on that one, because the towel that I picked up because of my bouncing baby boy Chiyomaru does have a Hokuto Fuji on
it. It does have a Hokuto Fuji on it, but it also has 7 other Rikshi that I care about significantly less than Hokuto Fuji.
Abi and Mitake Yumi are on that towel.
I do enjoy Mitake Yumi. Abi, I can take it or leave it. I apologize,
you monster.
Mac.
Anyway, back to actually watching live. It was outstanding.
It was fantastic. We probably should keep it down a little bit, as our B&B has told us that at a certain point in night, probably keep it down for the neighbors. So probably try to keep it a little bit quieter, but I know Mac and I are the 2 loudest people on the podcast.
That is also true.
But yeah, guys like Terutsuyoshi, who throws a huge amount of salt during his ring entrance. The crowd gets behind it, and like just as he gets ready to throw the salt, just oh! And even with the dohyoiri for the Yokozuna, every foot stomp that they did, the crowd just every single time that they stomped their feet.
No, highly recommend it for anybody that's debating on going and watching a day live in whichever tournament and whichever time of the year that you go. Highly recommend it to anybody that wants to go.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Another fun thing that, unfortunately, we didn't get to take part in is throwing the zabuton or the pillows for a kinboshi. We were 1 day behind for that, but I was prepared.
Oh, no. I think as much as we crap on him and say he's a dumpster fire, we were actually pulling for Shodai.
Just a little bit, just so we could have tossed our pillows and been a part of that at least once. I had my pillow in my lap ready to go. Unfortunately, it was not in the cards for that day.
No, but as we've been following it for a few years, we kind of have our own biases. We kind of know who we're looking for, like waiting for that Kinboshi with Shodai, knowing a few more of the newcomers in and what their strengths and weaknesses are. But it was really great when our significant others got to join us for the arena and actually get to watch it live with us. And I think we need to get their take on what it was like to witness sumo live.
I think that's a good call. Let's get your wife, Carolyn, and my wife, Gabby, in over here.
Well, hi, Carolyn.
Hi. Thanks, guys.
Well, I don't know. I keep on saying riding the bus. I mean driving the bus. I'm driving the bus. And Carolyn's along for the ride.
I'm along for the ride. We're both riding the bus.
Yeah. When did we get there? Like 2:30?
So we got to sumo around, no, it was closer to 3:30 because we stopped at the adorable Ninja Cafe that they have in front of the stadium.
We had like the best sandwiches.
Oh yeah, they were served in kind of like popovers instead of pitas. Yum. They were amazing. But we got there around like what, 3:30? something like that.
Yeah, that sounds better.
And there really wasn't too much of a line. And we get in, and some guy rips up our tickets, and you and I get in there first, and we just kind of guess because
Yeah.
there's no signs. And if there are signs directing to seats, they weren't in English.
So Ryan said that somebody walked them to their seats. And so I kind of expected at least somebody to point us in the right direction. But we literally just handed the guy the ticket, and he ripped it and handed it back. And I'm like, okay. And so everybody else was just going in one direction. So I was just like, I felt like a salmon, and I was just like followed the crowd.
Right,
and then Carolyn followed me.
I mean, stadiums are circular, so like it's just a longer walk.
you'll
But
get there
anyway,
eventually.
Katie was behind us, and apparently he looked at her and he's like, Shamima-san. And he like pointed at her ticket and like pointed the opposite direction. And she's like, all right, guys, we gotta go. So apart from that, it was super easy. They were the nosebleed seats.
But even then, they were still really good seats. Like, they were nosebleeds for that arena, but that arena was so small that it was still really easy to see everything.
The only downside is it felt like a lot of, at least the section that we were at, it was full of mostly foreigners who had absolutely no clue about sumo. And so I get a lot of my energy with live sports from the crowd. So sports I normally hate, like baseball and stuff like that.
Baseball's so boring.
So boring. Oh my God. But I've only enjoyed
baseball
it.
fans, but
I've only
not
enjoyed
into
it twice. And once was drunk, so obviously. And the other one is I was going with my dad's cousin's friend who was super into minor league baseball. And it was super exciting because he could go through and he was telling me about all these things that I never knew about baseball, and he made it enjoyable.
Yes.
And I was hoping that maybe I could get that from the sumo crowd because, watch, I can do the highlights. It's like 20 to 25 minutes. It's
it takes
cool.
no
It's fun.
time at all.
But like 2.5 hours of sumo was just a lot if it wasn't for the live crowd.
Yes. And
so
luckily we had some really good people in our section.
The guy immediately in front of us was super old, and he was just so into it. It was great. And then
so
there were some
into
box
it.
seats like the section ahead of us, and there was the guy in a black shirt who he was the best. He was the life of the crowd. He was the best cheerleader. When Abi came on, he's like Abi, 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 Abi.
And when Hakuho came, it was ha ha Hakuho.
So if you need cheers, there you are.
Even the Japanese people who were sitting around us were laughing at him. Like, they were having a great time, and he was having a great time. And at one point in time, he was like he had like a nice camera. He was sticking his camera like right up into his wife's face, and she was like trying to get him to put it down. And he's like, I could tell he was just like, but you're so beautiful, I need to take your picture. And she's like, oh no.
And they had banners for like
adorable.
5 different athletes, and that's what I noticed. Like people just had their like towels that they just pull out and to go and support their favorite wrestlers. Really cool to see who the crowd was excited about. Like the little kids loved Abi.
Yes, and there were a few other wrestlers too that I don't remember who they were, but there were some like specific wrestlers that totally had the kid crowd. Like, there were so many little kids cheering, and I was just surprised at how many children were there in general.
Right?
I'm like, man, they are like in it, and I hope they weren't there the whole time because they would have. It's hard to wrangle children.
Right.
But they seem super into it.
The whole thing kind of felt like one of those all-day track meets that you'd have in like junior high or high school where like you'd be interested in only like a few events because you ran it, but then a lot of it was just like killing time. And I feel like that's because people were getting up and leaving whenever they wanted to. I mean, it was kind of hard in our seats because there was absolutely no room to move. So we're not like big people, but we were filling up those seats.
Yeah. See, I didn't feel
Well, you
cramped.
had an aisle seat.
I know, I had an aisle seat, so I got to like splay out in like the aisle. And I was also cross-stitching through most of sumo. I told Ryan I finished, I'm cross-stitching cacti at the moment. And I was like, oh, I got some really good like work done on my cacti. And he goes, hopefully not during sumo. And I just go,
well, there's a lot of downtime. Like you have
and I didn't cross stitch during the matches. I just cross stitched in like the 20 minutes in between the matches. Actually, no, they went a lot faster than that.
So the downside about seeing it live and being part of like a big crowd on the nosebleed seats is that as soon as someone wants to get up for something, if a match is starting, you're just going to miss that match because it's over in like 10 seconds.
There was a guy, I felt so bad for him. So he had gone and gotten ice cream, and he was like trying to rush back to his seat before the match actually started. And right as he turned his back to the match, it started, and it was over like after he'd taken 2 or 3 steps. And he just goes, darn it. Because he missed the whole match. But, ice cream, so...
I guess he can always console himself. I mean, but everybody was saying... So there was some downtime between matches, so the match was like 10 seconds. Everybody was saying, there's just so much ceremony. And I suppose I just had unrealistic expectations for how long the ceremonies were, because they weren't that bad.
Yeah, it didn't feel like too much pomp and circumstance. And I gotta say, I got so, excited to see the guy who throws a lot of salt.
Oh, yeah, the guy who throws a lot of salt.
Because I'm like, I know he's here.
He got so salty that day.
Yeah, so salty. But I was like, I know he's here. And then I was like, one of these guys throws a shit ton of salt. And then sure enough, he did. And I was like,
yeah, the crowd got so into the salt.
Yeah, they were so into it.
An unreasonable amount of salt.
Into it. Yes, so much salt. But yeah, and it was just like, it's really contagious. I enjoyed it way more than I thought. But there were definitely
2.5 hours was like the right amount of soup.
Yeah, there were definitely times when I was like, ooh, I wish Ryan was here, because I wanted to ask him questions about things. Because I was curious about things. Of course, I don't remember any of those things now. But in the moment, I was
there
like,
were questions.
it would be really nice if I knew kind of a little bit more about the situation. But it was really nice. I liked it. And I thought it was going to be hectic going in there because we went at a busy time. We went, it was like a few matches before, I'm going to call it the main card. Like the big guys are wrestling, wrestling, right?
Yes.
Is that?
Well, I mean, it's sumo wrestling.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, so that sounds right. But it was like right before that. So I expected it to be a lot busier and almost like a lot harder to find our seats, and a lot.
Bad.
I guess I just expected it to be bigger and there to be way more people.
Well, when we were taking
it wasn't overwhelming.
Well, when we were taking the trains, they were always packed that day. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, if you take the train in, at least in Nagoya,
sumo wrestlers
there just like chilling in their yukatas, just riding the train like a normal person, I guess, because they're normal people.
Yeah, we saw one on our way there and at least one on our way back.
Right, and when we left Nagoya this morning, there were like 3 more there. I mean, and you can't miss them. Yeah,
basically. Anytime we were out and about in Nagoya, we saw sumo wrestlers like out in the wild.
We were just kind of staring at them and trying not to stare at them and actually staring at them. And Gabby took a creepy photo of one of them with my phone.
That's because Katie made me, because she wanted to see if it was somebody important. And Katie wanted us to ask him to take a picture with us. And we were not about that.
I mean, he's a private citizen. This is his private life.
See, and I was like, I'm not going to ask somebody that I don't know who they are to take a picture with
I also don't speak any Japanese. So how on earth was that going to go about?
Yeah, Carolyn and I are just way too introverted and private to be like, no, we can't ask somebody to do that like that. And Katie was very disappointed. Yeah, she was very, very let down. So, but it was very fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I feel like if we had gone earlier in the day, we wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. But seeing the big guys wrestle and the amount of advertising was really cool.
What was the one where they had like 3 different tiers of advertising we kept prepping for? I think it was like Hakuho's or whatever, but there were like 3 different.
Yeah, like you thought the advertisers,
because it was a ridiculous amount of people, and you're like, okay, it's done. And then the second string.
Yeah, because what they do is like they come out and then they literally walk around the dojo with like these little banners, and those banners are advertisements. And then a few of the wrestlers it's like, oh, they're done. Oh, here's another. Here's another.
And they
round.
wait like an awkward amount of time, so you kind of delude yourself, like, okay, the match is going to start, and then they had more advertisements.
Yeah, but I do prefer that to like commercial breaks.
That's true.
I think more people should just have ads that are just walked around them before they do their job.
Yeah, it made it go, I guess I haven't seen a sport without like commercial breaks in a long time.
Yeah, it was nice. It never felt like it was too interrupted.
Yeah.
So it just kind of went, and once it started, it just kind of kept going. And then getting out of there was really easy too. Mm-hmm. We picked a safe area where we're all going to meet, and then it was really easy leaving.
It was something I didn't know until we got the glare of disapproval was you do not talk during, while they're actually wrestling. It's like 20 seconds, but we did that. We got the stink eye
a few times. We got a few not very nice looks, and then we realized, we were talking during a match. And so we fixed that real fast. So make sure that you only talk in between the matches, that's totally fine. But don't talk while they are wrestling. That's very
risk
rude.
Glare of disapproval.
Yeah, and they are scalding looks of disapproval.
No one could judge you like they can.
Yes. So we're going to turn it back over to the Grand Sumo Breakdown boys.
All right, thank you, wives, for that recollection of your day with sumo. I wasn't really paying attention. Hopefully they had fun.
A true good husband.
Yeah, exactly. I tune out whenever she gets talking for more than 10 seconds at a time, so hopefully nobody else does that. But yeah, we're going to have a lot more coverage about our trip to Japan, about the non-sumo portions of it. We kind of went into exhaustive detail about our sumo experiences here. I'm sure there's going to be more bits and nuggets we'll remember on future episodes that we'll bring up because this was a fantastic experience for all of us. I think it's very much worth the trip to Japan to experience this for all of us. I think I was impacted a bit more by the Yokozuna stone and seeing that than I kind of expected, just kind of that history there. So, yeah, we'll get to more of that later, but that's going to wrap up this episode. So if you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
We have social media. You should check us out.
Check out our blog, GrandSumoBreakdown.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
We will get a recap episode of this posted. Not sure what our schedule is going to look like. We'll be back in the States, but we'll be very tired of each other by the time this spa show is wrapped up. So hopefully it'll be within a week of the end of the tournament. But until then, we will see you later.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
Throw your salt high.
and keep moving forward.